Today, I'm diving into the troubling issues with our immigration system, not just highlighting the headlines of policy overreaches, but also uncovering the profoundly personal stories of those affected. Hi, I'm Lorena, and I'm here today to break down an issue topping the news: immigration. So, from the wrongful deportation of entire groups to the individual cases of U.S. citizens and legal residents caught in a failing system, which is escalating right before our eyes. You'll want to pay close attention as I explore the breadth and depth of this pressing issue, which really could affect you or someone you love. As you already know, on March 15th, 2025, nearly 300 Venezuelans were deported from the United States to El Salvador concentration camps. Let me say that again. They were deported without due process to concentration camps. What kind of world are we living in? Look, I'm 1,000,000% in favor of deporting immigrant criminals. However, how do we know they were criminals? Today, March 19th, Donald Trump is still defying orders to prove his accusations of them being criminals. Why is he being defiant? What is he trying to prove? He's our president, and a president serves his country and his people, as well as obligated to follow the rule of law. If our president is unwilling to abide by the rules, well, then we really are living in a country that has turned their back on democracy. And is that what you want? His justification was using a rarely invoked 18th century law that has only been used 3 times in history, and it has only been invoked in times of declared war. Historically, it was used to detain, relocate, or deport non-citizens from countries considered enemies of the U.S. during wartime. Do you recall? This law was used for the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, a really dark chapter in our history. This Venezuelan gang, which Donald Trump claims we are at war with, has been in the U.S. since early 2020 during his first term. So have we been at war with Venezuela since 2020? News to me. Shouldn't we have been informed? And why was the urgency acted upon and not gone through the proper channels on March 15th? Why? Why is it crucial to follow this law correctly? Well, if we don't apply it correctly, we are at risk for overreach of executive power, especially when applied by an unchecked president. This action should really upset you. It blatantly disregards judicial authority, and it sets a dangerous precedent. Last I checked, we were a country of 3 equal branches: executive, legislative, and judicial, not a dictatorship. This should concern everyone because today it's a group of immigrants, but tomorrow it could be anyone deemed undesirable or collateral damage, meaning anyone that could be accidentally associated to being a sympathizer to something or someone undesirable to the president. Consider the case of, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist and recent graduate with a master's degree at Columbia University. He was arrested on March 10th by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, on allegations that tied his protest activities to support for Hamas, which the U.S. government considers a terrorist organization. First, you may not agree with his political stance, but what was done to him was not right. It is not what we stand for in America. Mahmoud holds legal permanent resident status, affording him protections similar to those of U.S. citizens. He is married to an American citizen who happens to be 8 months pregnant. Imagine her distress and the effects to the unborn child. I don't know about you, but that just doesn't seem right at all. He was detained at his apartment after ICE entered it without providing a clear reason. How scary is that? After his arrest, he was transferred to a detention center far from his home. Again, imagine what kind of stress he's experiencing right now. He's out of state, far out of state. He's in Louisiana. And he is still detained as of today, March 19th, 9 days later. Is this treatment humane? Imagine if this were you or someone you knew. Mahmoud's detention is linked to one of President Trump's executive orders that targets certain types of protests on university campuses, especially those that could be interpreted as supporting terrorism or anti Semitism. This raises significant concerns about the implications for freedom of speech, a fundamental right that we cherish deeply in the United States. This is a critical issue that I'll delve into more deeply in an upcoming video. And if this wasn't enough to start you thinking about our focus on aggressive immigration practices, let's talk about Jasmine Mooney, a Canadian actress known for her role in American Pie. Jasmine was detained for 11 days by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement while trying to renew her visa. Yeah, renew. So that indicates there wasn't a problem in the past, as she obviously had one before. The problem here is that we prioritize detention over human treatment of an individual. Take a look at this clip of Jasmine.
I can't even process what just happened because there was no heads up. Next thing you know, I'm taken and for 2 weeks haven't been told anything, moved to different cells, sleeping on cement, sleeping in different jail cells. Like, it just nothing makes sense to me, and I'm still trying to process the entire situation.
So despite not being charged with a crime, she was held in a cold room, shackled. Yeah, shackled, horrifying, and denied adequate bedding. Another heart-wrenching case involves a 10-year-old little girl who is a U.S. citizen recovering from brain cancer. She and her family were on their way to a medical appointment in Houston, Texas. They were stopped at an immigration checkpoint. The parents were undocumented. They were told that they could either have their children stay in the U.S. without them or take their children with them going back to Mexico. In an instant, they had to make a decision that was extremely difficult. Well, they chose to stay together as a family. Many of you may agree with our policy on immigration if they're undocumented, but I don't know how you could not feel the pain this family has experienced. Is your family tree from here? I mean, really, trace it far back. Imagine a time when your family came over going back many, many generations. The United States is made up of people coming here from somewhere else, seeking a better life. And let's talk about the term illegal alien, as it is very confusing. When we say illegal, we immediately jump to, oh, they're bad people, when in fact, they may have been running from an unjust circumstance and they haven't had time to get their paperwork together. We don't know every situation. The term alone can be dehumanizing and misleading as it associates individuals with criminality merely based on their immigration status. So I believe it's important to understand that being in the country without proper documentation is not a criminal offense, but it is a civil violation. If you're okay with this, well, you know what? That is your prerogative. However, if you're not, please consider speaking out. Yes, we need better border enforcement. We do. It's important. I totally support and agree with that. But we should really take the time to build in human policies and err on the side of leading with our hearts versus prioritizing strict policies that may not fit all situations. That is the American way. Hey, if they were criminals, then by all means, please deport them. I'm all for that. This is not just a failure of policy, but a failure of human empathy and basic human decency. Just again, imagine this little girl is recovering from brain cancer. She's receiving treatment still. Oh my gosh. And not understanding what the heck is happening around her. The next thing, she and her family are being deported to a country she most likely never knew. And I can't even imagine the treatment they received during the deportation process because we've all seen the videos that ICE loves to share. They are actually proud of their tough stance, but that stance should not apply to all cases. Yeah, it should apply to some, right? And I do understand the point. They're trying to show that we're not going to mess around. And in certain cases, that might be okay. But again, I would rather that we err on the side of taking care of people and respecting human rights rather than just being blatantly inhuman. And here's one more story of many that are popping up everywhere. A Chicago-born man, 54 years old, he's a US citizen and was mistakenly detained by ICE for over 10 hours just for being guilty of walking down the street and being a minority. This incident was an example of racial profiling that is running rampant right now. This is an alarming trend and should serve as a wake-up call about the state of our civil liberties, all of our civil liberties. This man had proof of his citizenship. It was in his wallet, but ICE just grabbed his wallet and detained him for 10 hours and didn't even explain why he was arrested. So after that, after 10 hours, they eventually got around to looking in his wallet, found his verification, and released him without even an apology. This story was shared on TikTok by his attorney, and I've fact-checked this as well as all the other stories I just told, and I suggest you do it too. And feel free to engage with me in the comments below so I can guide you to those sources if you'd like. These stories are not anomalies. They are symptoms of a broader systemic issue that affect all of us. They highlight the need for vigilance and action from every one of us. We must educate ourselves about these injustices, speak out against them, and support organizations that advocate for the rights of immigrants and US citizens alike. If you're a US citizen, especially from a minority community, protect yourself. Carry proof of your citizenship and know your rights during encounters with law enforcement. Record interactions to safeguard your freedoms. And I'd even take it a step further. Even if you are a white Caucasian US citizen, I would be carrying all documentation right now. We need to stand together to demand accountability and fairness in how our laws are applied. Silence and inaction will only lead to more abuses. Let's push for a system that upholds justice, not one that undermines it. This situation is really getting out of hand. So if you have the passion, time, and energy, please take a moment to share this video or someone else's video on the same topic. Make sure you reach out to your representatives to make your voice heard. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more ways to get the facts, stay strong, and take action. And don't forget to pick up your bonuses below my video. And as always, ciao for now.